our speaker, Ms. Priya Sindkar Shah. She is a seasoned software engineer and Android developer with over 5 years of experience. She excels in code review, data binding, Android Jetpack, Git, Kotlin, Firebase, and many more. Her commitment to user-centric design and cutting-edge technology has led to the creation of innovative mobile apps. Currently, she is a senior Android developer at Novum Logic Technologies Private Limited, where her dedication and passion shine through in her
Hi
work.
everyone. I see a lot of people are excited in Android development. Can we just have some emojis flying around before we start? That's right. Nice. Great. Okay. I hope every one of you have Android Studios installed with you, right? Okay. Let's get started with it. As you can see on my screen, I have already a project over here. So we need to create a new one from scratch. So before we jump into what we are going to develop, I'll just give you a brief introduction of what Android is and how Android apps help us and how we can create those Android apps. So Android is an open source software which can be scaled to our own requirements, and the entire code base from which the Android OS is built up is open source, so we can use that. One of the most fascinating things about Android is that after we went through BlackBerry, after we went through iOS, iPhones, Android was a very cheap OS, and that is the reason why we Indians are very much, used to using smartphones, and it got into circulation in the Indian market very quickly because it's very cheap, it's open source. A lot of mobile companies are taking up the core OS and customizing it for their own style, with their own style, like we see in Samsung, Redmi, Xylo, if someone just mentioned. So it's pretty exciting to build Android apps because Android development is super easy when you go into it, and it helps you build beautiful apps. What with all the guidelines, that super cool guidelines that Google provides us. Uh, so this is what Android is. Android apps are gaining traction very easily. So we all know that iPhones are have been a majority in the US and UK markets since a very long time now. And before that, there were BlackBerry mobile phones. But Android is gaining traction. I am in this industry since the last 9 years, and so uh, from the last 5 years, I have seen a huge traction in Android users. Not only Android phones, but Android cars, Android TV, Android watch, Android uh, simple Android tablets. So everyone uses that, and I have built apps around these form factors a lot, and not for Indian market, but also for the market that is in Dubai or USA. So that's quite exciting. So let's not stop uh, with Android and be intrigued with other technologies, but Android is super cool. So this is a basic introduction of Android, which I find my passion in. Like, I have been a passionate Android developer, and there has been many mobile technologies that have come and gone, but Android native have stayed put, and now we have Kotlin multi-platform as well, which can build apps around iOS and desktop and web apps as well. So that's pretty exciting. So I hope this has intrigued your Android development passion still more, and I hope that you'll find the same passion like me in the coming years. So Looking forward to a great session. So now, if you can just follow me, I hope everyone's Android Studio is open. Okay, give me a thumbs up. Everyone's Android Studio is open. Okay, good, good, nice. Okay, so let's just go and create a new file project. Let's go to File, New Project. And I again give you a brief introduction of what this is. Um, these are standard templates that Android Studio gives us to start with. So we don't have to make anything from scratch. Android Studio takes care of that. We have these built-in templates that we can use. We have a compose, let the compose empty activity. We have a activity with a floating button. We have the activity with bottom navigation bar. We have the activity with navigation drawer. We even have game development activity. We even have a activity for various other form factors which we can scale for either the tablet or the TV or the web apps. Then we have a native modules. Usually these native modules are used for game development and live wallpapers and such things. Then we have templates for Wear OS as well, which can be deployed on the Android watches. Then we have for television, we have for automobiles. So pretty much everything is covered when you want to get started with Android Studio. For our sake, we will go.
I'm very sorry to interrupt, but I
Yeah.
believe part of your screen is not visible, that part about the composable activities. So if you can reshare your screen with the whole screen on the or entire screen on the share.
Okay, sure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Are you able to see that now?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Cool. So I'll go to, okay. Now, is everything visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So now for our sake, we'll go to empty views activity. Please make sure that you're using empty views activity and not empty activity. Activity will start with a new Jetpack Compose app, and we don't want that. So let's go ahead and create an empty views activity. Next, on this page, on this visit, you'll be able to name your application. You'll be able to name this package name. The package name that you write here will be represented in the ultimately on the Google Play Store. So you want to make sure that you have this domain and your app write the entire path correct. If you want to start with, we have language options as well. We can either go with Java, we can go with Kotlin. I'll be taking this session in Kotlin. I know many of you are C++ and Java enthusiasts, but for the sake of uh, coming up with staying up with the new trends, I'll be taking this session in Kotlin. Don't worry, Kotlin is very much similar to what Java is. So please select Kotlin. In the name, you can give whatever name that you want. For my sake, I'll be saying GDSC Silicon demo. As you can see, whenever I start writing the name automatically gets appended to my package name, and as well as my path, the path of the directory on which my project will be saved. This is what I have on my device. You can have anything. You can have, if you're using Windows, you can store it in your C drive or your D drive or anything. I think you should be getting this path uh, from the template itself. Okay, and this is again something which requires us to select where we are going to set our dependencies on. If you have experience building Java apps, you might know that we have something called as Maven Central, from where we get all the dependencies and all the jars in our project. So For Android, we have Gradle dependencies, and for that Gradle dependencies, we have a dedicated build.gradle file in which we will be saving, or we will be declaring all the Gradle dependencies that we'll be using in our application. Again, it's Android Studio, so when we build a new project, some of the uh, major dependencies will already be there for us from the template itself. I'll show you when we get there. The Gradle dependency earlier was written in Groovy language, but now they have shifted to Kotlin language. And since we are using Kotlin all over, and since it is something which is recommended by the Android developers themselves, so let's go with Kotlin DSL. And this is again a minimum SDK version. As we all know that there are multiple Android versions floating around in the market. So we need to target the minimum supported SDK level in order for our apps to work on different Android versions. So if we select API 24, that is Android 7 NuGet, we can see that the Android Studio gives us a recommendation that, okay, so if you're giving support till the Android 7 version, then you'll be targeting approximately 95% of the devices, and that is okay because the new smartphones are already coming with Android 12, Android 13 OS in them, installed in them, and going later to this might create some problems for us in terms of some of the APIs may have been deprecated, or some of the APIs may not be supported in those earlier versions. So if we target NuGet, that is completely fine, because as such we would be targeting 95% of the devices. So let's go with API 24, and then we'll finish our setup. And as you can see, we have a new project building up. In this dialog, you can see that the Gradle is building all the dependencies that are required to run our project. So let's wait for the Gradle to build. It will take some time when it is first started, but when you again and again start the same project, it won't take that much time. And it also depends on your connectivity, because the Gradle files are, the dependencies are downloaded from the distribution URLs that are on the cloud. I'll also show you that from where we are getting these Gradle versions. This is a warning that Android Studio gives when it feels that it has not gotten enough RAM to work properly, but I think we won't be needing that. I hope you guys have your devices and devices with you, so that emulators can be very tricky and take a lot of RAM on your laptop and sometimes hang your laptop. So I suggest you don't use emulators for this demo, and use your physical devices. I'll be using my physical devices as well. Let's ignore this. So on the left side, you can see that there is a Android version of how you can view your packages in your Android project. If we go to manifests, you can see Android manifest. Android manifest is required to declare all your app permissions. For example, if you are using internet, or if you are using location in your Android app, or you want your Android app to take pictures, then you need to define the permissions in the Android manifest. Android manifest also holds all the activities that you have in your Android projects. Just to give a really brief introduction about what activities are. Activities are the screens that you see on the screen. One activity represents one screen in your app. For example, if your app have multiple pages or multiple screens, like login and register and home page and dashboard and settings page, so all these are going to be activities, and you need to declare all your activities in this Android manifest file. So Android Studio, since we are using the Android Studio template wizard, we already have a main activity declared for us. As you can see, all the required things are already done by the template. So if you see the activity, each activity needs to have a view to be displayed, right? So that view is written in XML with the, when you go with the views approach and not the Jetpack Compose approach. So if you go and check your resources, this is a resources file where all your apps, Android apps resources will be held. Drawables are the icons or the background images or other images that you use in your app. So drawable folder holds those resources. Layout resources will hold XML files that are views. So if you have a login view, then that view comes under the layout file, and those views are declared or written using the XML files. Then you have a bitmap resource. It is similar to drawable, but bitmaps are generally used for app icons. So these app icons need to be of various resolutions, and they need to be scalable enough to show a proper and clear app icon in all types of devices, whether it's a very low end device or it's a very high resolution device. You need to take care that your app's icon is very clear. So you need to use bitmap for that. Then we have a values folder. In values folders, you will be declaring all the strings, all the string resources, all the colors, all the styles that you have in your app. I'll be coming to the styles and themings later on when we start developing our application. XML, again, these are some data extraction rules and backup rules that you'll be needing with the in real life projects. We won't go into much detail in this because we, as such, we don't need it for this demo. But these are certain rules that you require when you are connecting with the internet and downloading files from the internet or uploading files to the internet. Gradle scripts are the most backbone of your Android app. These are the scripts that build all the dependencies that you need for your Android applications. There are two types of main Gradle builds. One is project level Gradle builds, where you define all the plugins that you'll be needing in your entire project. For example, this is a simple plugin that you need to make sure that the project understands that this is an Android application. So you need to have that plugin. This is the plugin URL, and this is the version, latest version, or the version that you want for your application. So this is the version of that particular plugin. Then you have a Kotlin plugin. As we are going to use Kotlin programming language, you need to have a plugin related to that Kotlin language. So we need to define the version, that is the latest version is 2.1.0 or something, but we'll be using 1.8.0. That will suffice for now. Then we have a module level build.gradle file. So what are modules? If we go to the project view on the left hand side, we'll be able to see a more detailed version of your Android application. Using either the project view or the Android view is completely up to the discretion of the developer. Some of the developers use the Android view. I personally prefer to use the project view because it gives me the files that I want very quickly. If you can see, there is a module called as app. Now all these folders are in themselves have peculiar properties, peculiar tasks that each of them do. For us, if you see app, then this is the main module of your application. There are two types of applications. If you have a very large application, let's say, for example, Instagram or Spotify or Zomato, then it probably has a multi-module architecture where you have different modules. Usually, when the application is too big or too large, Then and it has a lot of features, like you have a premium feature, you have a free feature, you have a let's say a payment feature, you have a songs feature, you have a videos feature. Then for that, different modules are built using different feature for different features. If the application is very small and you do not require a lot of features to be in the application, that only one module is will suffice, and that is the app module. This is the main module of your application. So when I talk about build.gradle on the module level, then this build.gradle is the Gradle file that is defined for your apps module. In this, you can see again the plugins are declared to make sure that this module is equipped with these plugins, Android application and Kotlin plugin. Then you have a namespace. Namespace is nothing but the package name that we saw earlier that would be displayed in that would be used in Google Play Store. Compile SDK. Now with Android, Android comes with SDK, different SDKs, different API versions. So compile SDK is with which your app will be compiled and made. When you make an APK, that APK will be based on this compile SDK. Then you have default configurations where you have application ID. Application ID is again nothing but the namespace. Minimum SDK, as we saw, we have selected NuGet API 7. Target SDK is 33. That means that you are mostly targeting the Android devices that have the APK level of 33. It could be below this, but it is recommended to use the latest one over here so that you can utilize the Android APIs to its fullest. Version code and version name are again something which you use when you are uploading your app and then updating your apps. Let's say you have a version 1 application uploaded to Google Play Store. Now you are rolling out a new feature. And so in order to roll out the new feature and in order to let your users update to a newer version of your application, you need to have a different version name, and that version name is usually +1. So if my first version was 1.0, then the second version would be 2.0, and version code could be 1.0.1 or 2.0. It depends on how your features are. If the feature change is very large, then it could be 1, it could be 2. If you are fixing minor bugs, then it could be 1.0.0. That is completely up to the developer, but this is usually the best practices. Then we have the build types, where we have certain requirements, certain variables defined for when we actually build the release builds. There are two types of builds that we do with Android apps. One is the debug build, one is the release build. Release build is the one that goes to the Play Store, and debug build is for when we are doing development. Again, this is something which is required for us to check. Ultimately, Kotlin code is going to be encapsulated into a bytecode, and that bytecode would be used by the JVM to distribute it to the Android devices. So we need Java for that. And for Java version, we require 1.8, minimum 1.8 Java version these days. People have also started using Java 11, but that is for real life projects, and we are good with version 8. So this is it. JVM target, again, we are targeting 1.8 version. This is where your main Gradle dependencies are going to be. These are the dependencies that you'll be using in your application, and you'll be adding to these dependencies as and when you need those. The Android template, build template, has already given us the dependency for Kotlin, dependency for app compact. App compact basically is a package which gives you UI components in your Android application. This is material dependency, which gives you material design components. App compact components and material components are totally different uh, different things. Material design is for the new and latest design templates that Google has enrolled and is recommending us to use. Constraint layout again is one of the types of layouts that we use in Android to build our views. So we need a different dependency for that. So it is added here. All these other dependencies are for testing, and we won't be touching those. So I'm not going to into much detail with it. Before we start, I would like to give you a Drive link, Google Drive link, and if you can just download that, it would be nice. Let me just bring out the Drive link. Okay, I'll put it in my chat. If you guys can please go ahead and download all the files that are in that Drive list, it would be easy for you to get started with the development. I'll give you 5 minutes to do that. I hope the files are downloadable easily. Please let me know if you are not able to download that. Okay, good. Okay. So next, we will be adding some of the resources from the Drive from here so that it becomes easy for us to use them. I'll go ahead and I'll use this Android icon and I'll set it in my drawable file. You can either drag and drop it, or you can go to the resource manager on the left side and you can drag and drop that icon from here, or you can go to file new. You need to select your root project, then you can go to file new, and then sorry, it's not coming. Yeah, file new, and then you can go to vector asset, local file, or image asset, and you can simply use that from here, or you can just drag and drop here. It's a PNG file. It's a Usually we use SVG files for the icons, which are very compact and which do not take a lot of space. But since we need a cool logo to show on our screen, we'll be using this. I'll quickly show you what we will be building. So this is what I hope to build in this one hour. We have a small icon, or let's say logo, for our application. We have a toolbar on top. We have a let's say a cool name for our application over here, and then we have a login form where we need the user to enter a username and enter the password and select what the gender, and then click on register or login, whatever. So this is a simple form that we will be building today, and I hope we get to this in the time that we have very quickly. Okay, now as you can see, we have a activity underscore main class. If you are not able to find it over here, you can find it from, you can go to app, then you can go to source, you can go to main, resources, layout, and activity main. So you'll be shown this view. This is a design view which gives you a, a blueprint of the design of your screen. Uh, if you go to the code part, you'll be able to see the code, XML code that is used to write the views. Uh, Again, if you go to design view, you can see all the attributes that are attached with each and every view. Let's say I select this view, then it will show me how it is aligned on the screen. Like it is aligned to the top, it is aligned to the left, it is aligned to the right, and it is exactly put in the center of the screen. This is usually the space which gives you an idea about the margin and the padding that the view has. Currently it is not it does not have any margin or padding. These are again the constraints or the, let's say, attributes that are attached to each and every view. We will come to that later on. These are the common UI widgets that you can simply drag and drop and put in your screen. Like for example, I need a button, so I'll just drag and drop it here. Now I need to align this button to something, right? So this is, I can use this and I can simply drag the arrow and I can align it below the text view. So we won't be going through the approach of drag and drop, because if we try to build real life applications, then drag and drop won't help you much. It is very good for you to start with, but you can explore this on your own. Right now we won't be using that. We'll be coding the XML file. See, I'll just show you the brief that when I dragged and dropped a button from the design view, and so it is put here automatically, and then it is constrained to the text layout, that is, it is below the text layout. Um, there are various layout managers, layout parent layouts that are required to align your text views and all the views in your screen. So there are different types of layouts like constraint layout, linear layout, flow layout, relative layout. These are the basic layout managers which you use to align your views. Constraint layout is where your views are attached to each other or aligned to each other in a perfect manner. Let's say you want a text view and you need a button below it. So you need to constrain that button to be below or to the bottom of the text layout. So you need to use the constraint layout and put up a constraint like this, that constraint top, like buttons top need to be to the bottom of the text view. So this is how constraint layout is used. Linear layout is very simple layout where you either put your views in a vertical manner or you put your views in a horizontal manner. So performance wise constraint layout is a very good option when you are dealing with a very cluttered screen where you have a lot of UI images or UI components in your one view. But when you have a very simple view that we are going to develop, like we have a linear view of, let's say, image. After the image there is a text, and there is a edit box, then there is another edit box, and then there is a radio group, and then you have a button. So it's very easy for us to use the linear layout, and performance wise linear layout would work the best when we are dealing with such a very straightforward view. So we'll be going with linear layout. Linear layout is a very basic layout that we use. Let's go ahead and change the constraint layout to linear layout. Now we need to align all our views in a vertical manner as we saw in the screenshot. So we need to set a orientation for our linear layout. So let's go ahead and write orientation to be vertical and not horizontal. So it will vertically, as you can see on the right side, it aligned my views vertically. Now, next, I need to add a toolbar to my application. Before toolbar, I think we'll go with colors. So if you can see in values folder, we have a colors.xml file. It has two colors defined, black and white, but we need a green color for our application, right? So you can use colors of your own choice. If you can see the text file that I have I have written in the drive link, you can see there is a link for colors. That is the first screen. You can go to this screen and choose colors of your own choice. I'll be using the green colors, but you can choose green colors of your own choice. Uh, I'll take these colors from my demo project that I've created for you. You can go ahead and go to that colors link and take whatever color suits you. I'll be copy pasting this here. So while you all go and set all these colors, I'll give you a brief introduction of these colors, how I will be using these colors. So there is a concept of primary, secondary, and tertiary and accent colors in Android. Primary color is basically the primary color that would be a focal point for your Android application. Secondary color would be used for components like simple buttons or progress bars or icon colors. And tertiary color is a very rare color that can be used either for, let's say, focusing on some colors or this thing. If you want, I can put this in the chat so that it will be easy for you to just copy and paste it and save some time for yourselves. I'll just put it in the chat box, and you can simply go and copy it, and then you can change the colors as you like from that link that which I gave you. Uh, uh, primary primary color is basically used for to write text or to define the icon colors that you'll be using on a primary color. Let's say you have a container, you have a box which is of the primary color green, and you want to show a text in white because white goes well with green. So you'll be defining on primary color as the white color. All the colors are hash coded, which have a hash, and then you have a RGB code for each and every color. The colors you need to take care. The colors are either of 8 length or of the 6 lengths. When we talk about 6 lengthed colors, uh, these are the RGB codes. And if you want to have some alpha value, let's say you want to tone down the color for 50% or 30% or 70%, then you can have an alpha value which you can place before the 6 letter 6 digited color. So this will define alpha color. If you want to check out your colors more easily, Android Studio has a way of doing that. If you see on the left hand corner, there is a color selected over here. You can just simply click on that color and you can define your own color, select your own color from here as well. As you can see, it gives you the value of red, green, and blue colors and also the alpha value. You can define this from on your own, explore it on your own, and see what works best in your application. You can also use the default built-in colors that are already defined over here. I hope the colors are set on your part. Next, we'll be starting with developing our view. So first of all, we have a toolbar in our application. If you go to the things, this is a toolbar. Now this toolbar is not there when you define when you start with a new template from the Android Studio itself. So we need to define our own styles. For that, with the new Android versions, Android Studio versions, you have something called as themes in your themes.xml in your values file. But we really want to go the old way so that you can get the basics of what Android development is and how on the basis that the Android development is built on. So we'll go ahead and we'll click on new, and we'll be creating a styles.xml file. Styles.xml file is where your app styles are going to be. Theming and styling are something which you, for example, if you have a lot of buttons in your application throughout your application, so you need to define a unique style for that button and you can use the same style everywhere. You don't have to go and keep on styling the button each and every time that you place it in some screen, right? So you need styles for that. Again, I'll be using the styles that which I have already defined in the demo project. And this is a simple style and I'll be using it directly over here. See, I have given a style tag over here. Everything is XML in Android, so it's very easy, it's very easy to define, it's very easy to understand, and it's very easy to catch up on. Style, I have written app style. For parent, I have taken a material style for a action bar. Action bar is nothing but the toolbar that we'll be seeing in quite a while. Uh, you define the theme as action bar. If you do not want an action bar, that there is also a way to do that, and you can select no action bar. There, sometimes you need a toolbar that is more customized to your application, which has a lot of features that the traditional or the inbuilt toolbar does not have. So for that, we need to define our theme in a way that which do not place a toolbar or the action bar by itself, but we will be required to do so. But right now, we just need to put a title on our text bar, so action bar. So we'll be using a dark action bar. We'll be defining the colors for our style throughout. Like we have used primary colors and secondary colors in our application. So we need to define primary colors, primary dark color. Primary dark color is the color of the status bar, the bar on top of your device, which displays the battery and the connection icons. It is not visible in my screenshot, but it will be when we go ahead and check. So this is how you can do it. I'll quickly also paste this in the chat for you to copy. Okay, output will soon get to later on. Okay, so very quickly we have put our action bar as well. Now, if you want to go ahead and play our application, run our application, we'll go. But before that, again, we have defined a style over here. Now we need to make sure that our activities take up this style by default and not the style that is already placed by the Android template. So we'll go ahead, copy this style. We'll go to android.manifest, and then we will go to theme attribute of our application. Application tag in Android manifest is for the entire application. And if we define a style over here, it will make sure the application tag will make sure that all your activities will take up this particular style itself. So we'll go ahead and paste our style name over here. And now let's see if we can get this on running on our application. So I'll just quickly run it on my device. My device is already connected with Android Studio. You guys can go ahead and check this. And we have called something called as running devices in Android Studio, which will give us the mobile screen. We will show us our mobile screen over here. This is my mobile screen and I'm using it. Let's wait for the application to run on our device. Okay, so as you can see, we have a toolbar over here. The toolbar name is by default the label that we give to our activity in the android.manifest file. If you can see, there is no label here, but it takes the label of the app name. So application name. Okay, so find this, we can define this again from our activity class, that is main.activity class, and we can use this title and rename it to something else, like let's say login page or registration page or something like that. So cool. As you can see, in our, if we go to our XML file, layout XML file, and if we see the button was purple color, but in our application it came out as green color. So it means that the styles that which we have defined over here are working, and the styles are automatically handled by the Android project, and it's been displayed in our output. So we don't need to take care of having go through the pains of defining the colors for each and every button, but this style will take care on its own. Next, we need to put up a image for that Android icon. So we'll go ahead and we'll create a material image view. Sorry, app compact image view. And we can place height and width, and then we need to close this tag. You can either close this tag from slash and closing tag, or you can have another closing tag like this. If you have a child, if you have child items below, underneath this particular view, then you can use this one, this tag, or you can simply use a slash icon and you can omit this particular line. It's up to you. It's usually a choice of a developer. Now, the height and width have two default options: wrap content and match parent. Wrap content is basically, it takes the size of whatever image that you have of the size, and match parent is something which the image or the child will take the entire space, entire height and width of the parent that it is aligned to. For this particular image view, the parent is linear layout. The linear layout is spread across the device length and width, which is by calling match parent. So we need to define this wrap content for an image, let's say. Now we need to assign a icon or a logo to this particular image view. For that, we already have a drawable placed in our application, which is android.png. We'll go ahead and we'll set a source compact, since we are using app compact in our application to build the UI components. We'll be taking a source compact, and then to define the drawable, we'll simply say @drawable and Android. There are a lot of different uh, resource files. As we see the resource files, we can use all these resources. We need to use all these resources in our applications XML files. So we need to define either a drawable or a string or a dimensions file. We'll come to those later on. Now, as you can see the layout file over here. You can see this is a output, potential output that you'll be getting for your application, right? So as you can see, the image is quite large, and we don't want that larger image, because we need a very small image that will be easily placed on top of our view. So we need to now see that, okay, we don't have to wrap content, because it will take the height and width of the image that we have placed in drawable file, but we need to tone it down. We need to set a finite size for that particular icon. So what I'll go and set a width of, let's say, 80 dp. Now dp is the dimension unit that you use for any components in your Android app. DP is ultimately converted to pixels when it is being rendered on your Android devices. So let's say 80 dp, and height also I want 80 dp, because I think that would be enough for us. So now you can see that the image has taken 80 by 80 size, and which works well with our application. Now, if you want to build your application for multiple form factors, for example, if your application is such that which need to work on mobile devices as well and on tablet devices as well. So you need to make sure that your the whatever sizes here that you are giving to your UI components need to be scalable for different layouts. For that, we have a dimensions.xml file in our values folder. We'll go ahead and we'll click on new, and then we'll create a new dimensions.xml file. It is again an XML file, and we need to define our dimensions. Now we need to name it, and let's say we name it underscore HTTP, and then we define the size of that particular file. So now I need to use this. Now if I want to build the same application for, let's say, tablet, so I'll go ahead and I'll create a new values folder over here below the resources folder, and instead of values I'll be giving a values hyphen 720 HDPI or something like that. So it will give me another value, and let's say if on my mobile the image is of 80dp, on tablet it need to be a little bit bigger because the tablet size is going to be bigger. So I'll be using the same name in that values folder, but instead of 80dp I'll be using, let's say, 100dp, because it will scale up a bit for my tablet device. That is another topic, but this is just to give you a brief introduction of how dimensions work in Android. So we'll go ahead. Now we need to use this particular diamond instead of the static diamond or the literal diamond that we are using. So I'll go ahead and I'll change 80dp to, let's say, diamond slash underscore 80. So it will again, if you press on control and if you bring your mouse to this particular item, it will show you the attribute value, and when you click on it, it will take you to dimensions.xml file. If you have multiple dimensions.xml file under multiple values folders, then it will give you different directions to different dimensions folders. Again, I'll simply copy this and paste it here. So we have our image. Now next we need to have our title. For title, we'll be using a text view. We'll be using the same text view that is already been placed here, and we'll say, let's say I say hello. Okay, so we have text here. As you can see in our view, design view, we have the text changed to hello GDSC Silicon. So it's giving me a white line. So sorry, yellow line. So yellow line basically is a way of indicating from the Android studio that you are doing something wrong, and you need to change the way you are doing things. So if I go ahead and bring my mouse on top of it, it will show that you have hard coded a string. Again, strings are something which can be in Android. The strings can be converted to different locales. For example, if I'm in Gujarat, it will show me a message in Gujarati. If I'm in France, it will show me a message in French. If I am in the US, it has to take up the English version of the text. For that, again, like diamonds, we need to have different strings.xml files, and it's a recommended way, and it's the the most optimized way to have all your strings in your strings.xml file, just like we had the dimensions. So I'll go ahead and I'll again go to strings.xml file. As you can see, the app name is already here. That is placed from the template itself. I'll go ahead and I'll create a new string resource, and let's say home login page title. The name of the XML resources need not have any spaces between them, and also it should not have any hyphens between them. So it is a general coding convention, that you use a underscore. You use a underscore to separate two different words. And I'll go ahead and I'll copy the hard-coded string and I'll place it in strings.xml file. And as you can see, it is giving me a red line. Red line is because apostrophe s, our escape characters in ASCII, and you cannot use escape characters directly in your string resources. For that, you need to append it by a backward slash. Backward slash means that it will print apostrophe as it is, and it is not something which can be which should be interpreted as an escape character. So apostrophe, and then I'll again say @string slash and title, login page title. So the text remains the same, but the way it is shown is different. Now we have changed our linear layout to constraint layout to linear layout. So we don't need all the constraints that were already placed by the constraint layout. So I'll just quickly remove them. Then we have a edit text for our view. Okay, so also we need to make this text a little bit bigger, and it should be centered, aligned, and it should be in green color. So let's go ahead and first of all style this text. I have a text view and I need to style it. Let's say I want to give it a color. So I'll just say text color, and I'll again choose a color from the colors folder, and I'll say primary color. Now I want this text to be a little bit bigger because it is ultimately the title of my page, and it needs to be focused in a very strong way. So I'll go ahead and I'll change the style of the color as text as well, and I'll say, let's say I'll now text sizes in Android are written in a unit SP, and the dimensions are in DP form, but the text need to be scalable because even if I'm using two mobile phones, and if I'm using a Samsung phone and if I'm using a Pixel device, then these two devices will have their own resolutions. They will have their own way of interpreting the text and displaying the text images. So SP is a unit in Android which takes care of scaling the font sizes according to the device that they are being interpreted on. So for that, it's essential for us to use the SP unit for texts instead of the DP unit. So I'll be saying, let's say by default, all the text sizes are of 16 SP, and I need to 14 SP, sorry, and I need to scale it up a bit. So let's say I want to use 18 SP. Again, I'll go ahead and I'll place this in the dimensions file. There are a lot of shortcuts for this as well. So if I want to directly place this in the dimensions file without going to go to the dimensions file and copy pasting it, so I'll simply click on the unit. I'll press Alt Enter, and it will show me a action that extract this diamond resource. I'll click on it and it will give me a resource name by itself. It is interpreted the way I have defined my different dimensions, and it will take it accordingly, and I'll say okay. And if you go to the diamonds page, you can see that the 18 SP file is diamond is added over here from the shortcut that I've used in the from the XML file. So also you can see that the text size has increased a bit. Now I want to center align this text. I want the development word to go in the center and not to the left aligned. So there is something called as gravity. Gravity defines how your UI components are aligned, whether they are left aligned or they are right aligned or they are justified or they are center aligned. I want the text to be center aligned. So I'll click on gravity, not layout, gravity, and I'll select center. As you can see, if you press Control and Alter when you are in defining attributes, you can see all types of different items, different ways in which you can view the text. So I want center align, so I'll use center. Next, I also want this particular image to be in the center of the screen instead of being left aligned. For that, if I want to bring my child components to the center of my layout, I need to use layout gravity on the parent component. So the parent for this particular image view is linear layout. So I'll go ahead and I'll write gravity layout gravity, and I'll center align it. And sorry, gravity. And I'll center aligned it. So everything will be center aligned over here. Now I want this button to go away. Sorry, this button to go away, and I want a edit text, because now I need a username from the user, right? So I want to place a placeholder or a text view for the user to enter something. So I'll remove this and I'll add a edit text over here. App compact. Let's take app compact according to the new style. I don't want it to be wrap content, but I want it to take the entire width of the parent component, entire width of the screen. So I'll use this edit text. Now I want to hint the user about it, like what it is, what the edit text means, and what it requires the user to enter. So there is something called as a hint attribute. In that hint, I'll say enter username. So as you can see, there is an edit text over here, and it says enter username, which we want. Again, we want this to be go into the string item. So I'll just quickly click on alt and enter, and I'll use this particular label. Then I let's run it and see how it looks before we move any further. So I'll go and click. Okay, so this is how my view turned out to be, which is pretty cool as of now. So I have a space placeholder over here, and the user can start typing things over here. And if I remove my input, it will again show me the hint that it gives me. Now, according to material design, there are various ways in which you can use this particular edit text. Now, I want something like a box, and when I focus on that particular box to write something, I don't want the hint to go away as it is doing right now, but I want the hint to be there and to be shown to me. And these are the new material guidelines that have come up from the material to design itself. So I'll go ahead and I'll use another component and wrap the edit text in that particular component. That component is text input field. I'll use a material design part from that, and I'll just simply wrap that. Now I want to wrap this component edit text inside the text input stream. So the closing tag for, as you can see, it says that it is not closed, but I want to close it, but I want to make sure that I encapsulate the edit text in that particular item. So I'll close it after putting the text view, edit text view inside it. So this is what it is. Let's again see how the output turned out to be in our design. And as you can see, there is a box around it, and it shows me the hint as well. Let's go and run it and see what the outcome is, and then we can style it again as per what we want. Okay. So now there is a edit text, and when my edit text is focused, it shows me the hint as well, like I wanted. But it shows a gray box around it, and the gray box is not quite going with the theme of my application. So I need to change that. So I'll again go to this, and I'll define a style for this particular input text box. Now again, I have a style already in my application. I'll go and get the style from here, and I'll place it here. And the styles for the text input fields are either, if you go and click on Control plus space, it will give me a list of all the styles that are available. It could be a filled box, or it could be an outline box. Like outline box comes with a border, but it does not fill in the color like it is right now with the gray color. And filled box is something which is filled with the color that we wish to put. But right now we just require an outlined box. It looks much cleaner. So I'll put the outline box over here, and let's see how it turns out again. If you want, I can share this with you on the chat. My mouse is not working. Great.
Excuse
Okay.
me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, we are kind of running out of time for the Android session.
Okay.
If we could just conclude it a little bit faster, because we have GitHub next.
Okay. Sure.
We have the,
Sure. Okay. So I'll quickly run this again and okay, so you can see there is an outline box. Okay. Now we want to have we want to use these buttons. We need to use these buttons. I'll quickly put up a button over here so that and I want to set a label to that button. So let's say I put a register button over here. Okay, and I need to now I need to use this particular button in my application, in my activity class. Now to get all these to interact with these applications, the XML file itself handles it. But now we need to take care that we need to take the input. For example, if we need to take the input from this particular username box, then we need to use it in our activity file. So I'll quickly go ahead and I'll say, let's say username edit text, and I'll use find by ID, and I'll say r.id dot. Now I need to give a ID to each and every one of the XML files so that it is linked accordingly. So I'll give an ID over here, edit text, username, and I want to use it over here in my HTML Kotlin file. So here it is. Right now it is giving me error, but that's okay. It will go away when I put it. Again, I need a button for that so that I can capture the button from it. Again, I need to give ID for this particular button. So I'll give ID to this, let's say button register, and I'll again capture this from here. Okay. And if I go ahead and I run my project, it will run, the error messages will go ahead. And this is how I got my UI components in my activity file. And from that activity file, I can use this. Now, I want to do something when I click on the button, register button file. So I'll just go ahead and say button dot set on click listener, where it will listen to all the clicks that are happening on the button and it will be calculated. It will be given here. And I wanted to explore all these things with you, but I guess we can't. So I'll just simply show you what happens when user clicks on it and how we can deal with the user events. So I'll again go ahead and run it. And when I click on the button, it gives me a toast over here that says registration clicks. And then we can go ahead and validate our input boxes and validate all the things that the user have implemented. And then we can register the user into our application. So I guess this is a bird's eye view, a very uh, uh, further bird's eye view on how things are in Android. I hope this helped you. I hope this will give you a push in recognizing your abilities, your passion, and hope that you have learned the things of building an Android app. And I have this project on GitHub entirely for you. So if I quickly go, and you already have that, but I'll just paste it in the chat as well for you to go ahead and use Arpita's session to clone or download this app from the this thing. Okay, so this was it from my end. I hope you guys learned a lot, and I hope you will use up Arpita's session to go and check out the entire project on my GitHub. And thank you very much, Annapurna, Adarsh, and the entire team to have me. And I hope I made a difference in your life. Thank you. Bye, everyone.